Hey guys, I just want to take a few minutes and talk about the results and discussion section for your final project. Now, I think most of you have turned in your research proposal, and they've been graded and returned with, I try to give you guys as much feedback as possible. But if you're going through those proposals and have questions about something or something just isn't really clear, just feel free to contact me and we'll talk about it individually. But that feedback should give you, really good information on those first sections of the paper. Now, you have been plugging along on your data collection, so hopefully you guys are, getting close to wrapping that up. You should be kind of getting to the end of that um, because your paper's due a little bit later in the month. So, um, as you're wrapping all your data collection up, you have these two remaining sections that you'll be adding to the final project when submitted. One of which is your results section. Now, the last discussion that you guys completed had you really look into making a chart and charting that data. Now that's going to be really important. Those charts that you guys completed, and I gave you guys feedback on it. I think you guys did a really good job on those. The charts with your data you will need to include in your results section. So, and I know we've been in the reading we've been talking about a lot of complex statistical measurements for the data that's collected. But in this particular instance, I think most of you guys are looking at single subject on yourself, single subject design on yourself. So it's very difficult to run this kind of sophisticated statistical analysis on just, an individual subject. So, for the purposes of this paper, you're going to stick with a little bit more, you know, um, I guess you would say, um, suitable statistical measures for this type of thing. So, what we'll be looking at is that visual you provide in the graph. You're going to be looking for visual significance. You hear a lot of studies talk about statistical significance, and you guys have been reading about that, the existence of statistical significance in your research to determine if the change in the dependent variable or your behavior is enough to be significant or statistically significant. Now, in this case, it'd be hard to determine that on a very complex level, like by doing t-tests or, coefficients and things of that nature. So, for your purposes, you'll be looking at visual significance. So, based on the visual that you provide in your graph, does it look like there's been a significant change with the behavior? Also, you can do some other statistical analysis in, averages. You could look at your averages on your baseline and in your intervention periods. You could look at mean, median, and mode, those type of measurements. You don't really have to go into significant analysis as far as, trying to complete some of these very complex statistical measures. So I hope that kind of helps take off a little bit of pressure as far as the results section. So be sure to talk about what happened. What do your results look like? Those kind of things. You're providing that information to your reader to help them understand, how it really went in that. As far as the results and, how was it completed. Now, the discussion portion is just that. You discussed how the project went, what happened, was there anything that could have affected the research? Was there anything that went wrong? Was there anything that went unexpectedly right? Talk about all these kind of things. Talk about the effects of those things on reliability and validity. You're thinking about it from this holistic perspective where you're determining if can this finding be considered reliable or was there something else that could have really affected it? So this is the portion where you really talk about it. This is one of the most important portions of the paper, to be sure that you are really explaining, what the other things that could have affected this research. That goes into, helps me understand when I'm grading your research or final projects, that discussion section helps me understand whether you really understand how reliability and validity affects your research, or those other factors that could have biased your research. So spend some time there. Spend some time explaining and talking about the other factors. Think about it broadly. Really kind of dig down, because this project has been, if you're doing a single subject design on yourself, this project's been really simplified. The research has been very simplified, and that's intentional. I've talked to a bunch of you guys about this. We don't want to make this more complex than it needs to be, but in doing this, I want you to get the most benefit out of it in learning the process. So this is an opportunity, in this discussion section, to really talk about the process. Okay. And guys, it doesn't matter if your research worked or not. Research a lot of times doesn't work. Your intervention might not be effective, and that's okay. If it's not, it's completely fine. I'm not concerned about whether your research was effective or not, or visually significant. I'm interested in you were able to put all this together, formulate your research plan, execute your research plan, and collect the data, analyze the data, and discuss the issues surrounding the data. So that's really what I'm looking at. I'm looking at your understanding of the entire process, not whether or not your research was effective. Because even researchers that do research for a living, they spend a lot of time with failed research. That's part of it. Okay, so just keep in mind, that information as you're formulating your results and discussion sections. Now, if you get to those results sections and you have questions about your analysis, be sure to reach out and I will help you in any way possible. Please contact me. I'm real flexible in time frames when it's a good time for you guys to talk. So be sure and really spend some time on this discussion and results section. Okay. All right. So good luck with finalizing your research. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this process as much as I have. Watching you guys grow as researchers has been wonderful for me this semester, and I've really enjoyed it. So again, don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions. You guys take care.